A lightweight chassis from Chilliwack, BC. You know, sometimes the truth hurts, but I can't lie to you guys. Look what I did to myself. I haven't done that since I was a kid. That is the mark of shame that scope ring came and hit me. Why? Because I really have to cant my face. I need higher rings. So that's one definite thing about such a straight stock is I'm just having to crowd too much. And I think it affected my shooting. I think I'll get better groups with just a little higher scope setup. So I'm going to go to the gun store and try to hide this because that's embarrassing for a seasoned shooter. But I really had to fight that stock. Welcome to the Yukon and North 61. Now that our bison is down, I'm starting to think of this sheep caribou thing. And here's something I learned about weights and rifles. It's important to have a lightweight rifle if you're going to be backpacking and carrying it on your back. I went to that Weatherby 4.9 pound 280 AI. I'm selling it. Why am I selling it? Because I find the Forbes that weighs about 3/4 of a pound more is easier to shoot. I think there is a limit to lightness, and it depends on your personal preference. I like the Forbes. I like the weight of the Forbes. I also like Tikkas, and let's just take a look. I'm also going to sell a bunch of guns, standardize on a few calibers. I'm getting rid of 9.3 by 62, for example. I'm getting rid of 280 AI. I'm getting rid of a lot of my calibers. I'm going to keep 30-06 for sure, 2 of them, and here's one of them. So here's an MDT chassis on my 30-06 Tikka lightweight, and this is now 31 inches long. And having that short length, I think, is just as important in some ways as being light, because this allows me to put it right on the side of my backpack without the barrel sticking up and getting caught on every piece of brush you go by. It starts to really annoy me. And I wanted a shorter rifle, but I didn't really want a carbine. I want at least 22 inches of barrel, which this 30-06 has, to get some good velocities and less muzzle blast. So here's a folding stock on this MDT 26-ounce chassis. It actually weighs 31 ounces with the stock. So I gained about 3 ounces over the Tikka stock that was on it, the Tupperware. So I'm going to just see how this thing shoots today. So let's find out. Okay, that's the first 3 shots, about 1.25 inches maybe. I'm fighting it a little because that scope is mounted really low and the stock comes straight back, so I'm fighting getting into the scope a little. It probably needs higher rings, but that shows some potential. It's a hit. Now let's try the 300-yard gong. It's actually at about 300 and... It's actually at about 315 or so. Raise that up a bit. Okay, you might not be able to see this, but listen for the gong hit. That's a hit. So I'll play with this a little more, but as far as the, I've saved myself, there's 2 positions here. I've saved myself 10 inches of weight. So look at how that now could fit right by my backpack, and it's under my head. Got the bottom of my hip, not over my head. So this is now like a 33-inch carbine to carry. And that's worth a lot. And I'll keep playing with it and let you know, but it's a lot of potential here. 220 grain Hornadays, under 1 inch. I forgot to mention that 220 grain load is with reloader 22. So that's under 1 inch. That's about 0.88 probably. That's 2,500 feet per second. So that's a really powerful load. I'm gonna check the ergonomics for offhand shooting. Let's give that a go. need higher rings. So why the 30-06 over the 280 AI? You know, a lot of people talk about the 280 AI, kind of got carried away with the rhetoric, but when you really look at the 30-06 loaded to what it can do, and the 280 AI loaded to what it can do, the 280 AI only has about 4% more case capacity than a 280, which gives it about 1% more velocity than a 280. People say it's like a 7mm rem mag. Well, I have a 7mm rem mag. A 280 is 150 feet per second from being a 7mm rem mag if you load it to the same pressures. Even looking at the Hodgdon, the manual, if you take a look at the 280 AI versus the 30-06, for example, 140 grain bullets, top load for the 280 AI, 3068. Now, if you go to 165 grain bullet in a 30-06, which has about the same sectional density, 248 for both of them, you get 3003. So you've basically got about 65 more feet per second with the same sectional density with the 280 AI, but you got a lot less horsepower because you've got 15 more grains of bullet weight with the 30-06. If you go to a 160 grain bullet, 2872 is the hottest load I could find. Well, you can get 2857 with 180 grain bullets, 20 grains more bullet, same speed, similar sectional density. And that similar sectional density mean they'll shoot about as flat as one another. So the 280A has a slight advantage, but not as much as people make it out to be. A 30-06 is amazing. So 30-06, to me, I used that 280 all summer. I liked the lightweight. I found a rifle that was a pound more to be a little easier to use. It was long, you had the muzzle brake, it was so light that muzzle brake was really handy. It's hard to take the muzzle brake off when you have one. That's equivalent of a 26-inch barrel, caught on everything. So I think I'm okay going away from the 280 AI and standardizing on 30-06 plus. The 30-06 advantage, 220 grain bullets. Bison, grizzly bears, moose, I'd way rather have a 30-06. Sheep, caribou, 30-06 is almost as efficient at long range as the 280 AI. And it always has more horsepower. Thanks. Last thing is the weight of that firearm is now a little bit heavier than it was because there's about 3 ounces extra with the stock because of that folding mechanism. It goes from 26 to 31 ounces, which puts me about 2.5 ounces over the original Tikka stock. And I couldn't figure out why am I almost a half a pound heavier. It's because of this magazine. I didn't realize this magazine is nearly 8 ounces. So this steel magazine now replaces the Tikka polymer, and it's quite a bit heavier. So I'm going to look for a lighter weight option. We'll see what I can find. So thanks for watching. I really like having that much shorter weight. Right now, the Forbes rifle is at about 6 7/8 pounds ready to go. 6 7/8 pound ready to go. This Tikka is at almost 7.5 pounds ready to go. So, you know, it's an extra bit of weight, half a pound plus 1/8 of a pound. What's that? That's 5/8 of a pound. So that's a little bit of weight, but not too bad. And then 10 inches less of height, plus it's 2 inches less barrel. It's actually 12 inches, a foot shorter. So much easier. I got so sick of knocking the barrel and stuff. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's a game changer.